He stood on the verge of winning the S2000 World Rally Championship. He had to finish the Rally de España ahead of his last remaining title challenger, PJ Anderson. He did even better than that. He secured his fourth win of the season in the class. He now adds that championship to the WRC Academy title won 12 months ago. And listeners of a certain vintage may well remember his father Ray, who was a national champion. So the skill clearly lives on. It was an emotional week with Craig's co-driver Gareth Roberts at the forefront of many people's minds. He died as a result of injuries sustained in a crash the pair were involved in Sicily back in June. Craig popped into us earlier on his way home to Waterford and he admitted that he was relieved to have got over the line.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest emotion and the biggest feeling I'm getting now. It's been a pretty horrific year on so many different levels. So to come to the finish yesterday and to achieve what I set out on, what we both, myself and Gareth, set out on at the start of the year, was something that I'm extremely proud of. And it was, relief and just... it was more confirmation for myself that I can still do it, and this dream is still very much alive. So lots of mixed emotions, but I think the underlying one is just one of relief.
Do you believe in destiny?
Yeah, perhaps. It's a strong question, but yeah, I feel that I have what it takes to get to the top. Perhaps sometimes I need a little bit of convincing of myself. Results like what happened yesterday are things that convince me more. But yeah, I think both myself and Gareth and everyone in the team set out on a path. It's taken its journey, which it hasn't been so nice, but I need to try and do the best job I can now and finish it off, and I really do think we can do it.
How difficult was it to get back in the car? We touched on it briefly when you spoke to us last week, but it's a great testament to you that you got back in the car and finished the season out.
Yeah, it was pretty difficult. There's no line about it. It was a pretty horrific accident, so to get back into a road car for me I thought originally was going to be difficult, but there was something that gave me strength that I can't explain. Man, I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I do believe that Gareth has something very, very strong presence in my life, and it's one of the main reasons why I found it that confident to get back into a rally car again and drive at speed. So it was actually the period not driving was probably the hardest, and once I got back into a rally car again, I knew that this was natural and this was what everybody wanted. Most especially I think it's what Gareth would have wanted. And
it's only natural that an experience like that, what you've had to go through, you're a different individual now than you probably would have been 12 months ago. You've probably had to grow up a lot. Those 22-year-old shoulders are carrying a much bigger weight of responsibility now, probably.
Yeah, I think so. So people tell me. I still think I'm a kid at heart, but yeah, I've had to mature a lot, and I've had to come to terms with circumstances that most people my age, touch wood, would never have to come across. So I won't say I'm the better of it now, but it has made me stronger, and it's made me realise that life is quite delicate, and I need to try and grasp every opportunity that I can. I've got a limited time to try and pull this dream off, and I'm going to do everything in my power to do it. So yeah, I think it's made me stronger for sure. I would swap everything out to have him back here and never have to go through that experience again. But I need to try and turn it into something positive.
When we focus on the rally itself over the weekend, you carried the 2-point lead into the weekend in the championship. You knew if you finished ahead of PG Anderson, the title was yours. How did that change how you approached the stages? Well,
it was a difficult event. Spain usually runs in October time, end of October, but obviously this year it ran a month later, so the conditions were different. Spain is always usually relatively good climate end of October, but it's changed completely. The recce was bone dry, as was the shakedown of the practice. But on Thursday night, Friday morning, there was a deluge of rain. The Friday stages were just completely destroyed. And obviously Friday being on gravel, it was just a mud bath. And the first stage went okay, and we seen that PG was on a bit of a push. To be honest with you, I just thought the conditions were that bad that it was better to play it reasonably safe and see what happened from there. And as it happened, it worked. Okay, I couldn't have planned it much better, and I can't say that I planned it expecting it to happen, but PG pushed too hard. I had a spin more than anything on the last stage of Friday evening and dropped a couple of minutes, so it left us pretty much in command for the rest of the weekend, and I had to just drive very, very slowly on Saturday and Sunday just to avoid any mistakes. So it wasn't an absolutely flat out weekend. It was quite embarrassing at times because I was driving that slow. It felt like, God, if anyone see me now, it looks like it's desperate, but we still managed to pull it off, and we finished 6th overall, which is something that's it doesn't happen very often. And
now 2 WRC titles over 2 seasons. It's a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, I'm absolutely over them, 10 foot over the moon at this stage. It's beyond my wildest dreams, especially after what's happened this year. I never expected it to happen, and now it's given me something to try and push on and perhaps get a third one. Maybe not next year. I'm going to have to step up into a World Rally car. That's probably the next step, but I need to find the budget first of all. and that's probably one of the most underlying things.
Well, this is the thing, and let's talk about the crux of the weekend's work. Whereas you won €500,000 last year for the Academy title, you walk away from Spain, am I right in saying, without a penny in your pocket?
Yeah, that's correct. The FIA have produced a fantastic programme with the Academy, and the prize money last year it gave me the opportunity to drive this year. But as crazy as it seems, the senior programme, or the one step below the World Rally Championship, and there's no prize for winning it, so it's left me in a little bit of a difficult position now, because I'm on the crest of a wave and I've got nothing to keep on going. So I just gonna have to try and work my socks off over the next couple of weeks and try and get some sort of a package together for next year. But for the minute, it's not looking so positive. But we'll do everything we can to get there.
But it is similar to a situation that we've seen in Formula 1 over the years, where very, very talented drivers are left without seats, whereas drivers who perhaps couldn't touch them on the track have those prize seats, because it's all about the financial windfall you can bring to the table in terms of sponsors.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way rallying is at the minute. It's not like any other sports, or ball sports in Ireland. I don't want to pinpoint anything out, but it's very easy to get into sports like that, and your talent shines through. And whereas the overheads with rallying especially is horrific, and it just goes to show that the $500,000 didn't even get me through this season. You know what I mean? I needed more additional sponsorship on top of that. And to go on to World Rally Car next year, it's increasing that budget a lot more again.
Well, do you have any idea how much would it cost even to run a car that could, I don't know how competitive you would be in the WRC?
Being realistic, if I wanted to go into a World Rally Car, at the very cheapest, it's €100,000 an event, and that's would be a fairly basic package. There's probably a lot of stuff on top of that, like your recce and your travel costs and hotels, and it's
to be fed, and
yeah, exactly. It's probably more like 150, 160, being realistic. That's if you want a proper works team. Okay, you can run it yourself and so on and so forth, but it's difficult to say at the minute. But if you wanted to do it properly, it's that kind of a budget, which is it's just horrific. It's €150,000 would probably cover a lot of people's sports, for one entire season. Whereas it's only one rally. That's 3 days driving and 6 days there, and it's all gone. So.
And you've had sponsors who've been with you along the way and have been very, very loyal. But with the times we're in, it's hard to keep going back to people and not even to look for what they've given you this season, but to look to get them to build upon it again for next year.
Yeah, it's difficult for them. There's no line about it. Rallying isn't exactly the most popular sport in the world, or especially in Ireland. It's been kind of hidden away in the undergrowth for a while, and it's difficult for people to understand the benefit of sponsorship in rallying. But hopefully this, the two world titles, it's something that they can relate to. I think regional championships and regional rallies is something that they can't exactly relate to. But now when they see that it's two World Rally Championship titles, okay, it's in support classes, but still it's a World Championship title. I'm hoping that it's something that they can relate to and understand that there is a huge potential there. And
if it's not to happen that you can't get a seat next year, what does the future hold? You're not going to give up on this dream, surely? I'm going to, by hook or by crook, I'll get there and try something. And I don't know, it's difficult to say for the minute. Perhaps I'll just have to take a year out. But at the end of the day, money is the underlying factor. It's the common denominator with everything. And if you don't have it, well, then you just simply can't do it. But everybody's working on it straight away. A lot of people in the background are back, even this morning are trying to get something together, because the first round of the championship in Monte Carlo is second week in January, and the entries close for that the second week in December, so it's all getting very close still. And I think a lot of people listening in will have heard you win the Academy, will have heard you win S2000 this year, and will say this is a guy who deserves his chance to go on and do even bigger and better things. If people want to get in touch, or people want to maybe find out how they could get involved and support you, there's a website, you have your own website, you're on Twitter, there's numerous ways of contacting you. Yeah, well, I suppose my own website is craigbreen.com. There's various different contacts and that on it, and I'm putting together a profile at the minute, and just to try and put across the sheer volume of audience that's in the World Championship, TV audience, radio audience, and so on and so forth, and trying to shine as much of a positive light as I can on the World Championship. And yeah, it's a fantastic series, and it's got a new promoter with Red Bull, a media house, for the next 10 years, so it's going to be really, really exploited over the next 10 years, the World Championship, and it's going to turn into something very, very big. So it's an exciting time to be part of the championship, and I think to any potential sponsor, it's okay, I'm biased, but I think it's a fantastic marketplace to be in. Well, we'll certainly keep in touch, we'll certainly keep following it, and thanks for joining us in studio today. And thank you very much.